Hey guys, Nursepound27 here, letting you guys know that my channel just reached 7,000 subscribers. It is quite the milestone, and I want to thank you guys so much for liking and watching the videos, and of course subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate it. I didn't really have anything planned to celebrate this milestone, so I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm always doing. But for now, it's fairy tale catch-up time, and it's the conclusion to the Avatar arc. Oh boy. Well, despite my lack of enthusiasm for this, I will say that this chapter was actually really good. You get to see Erza, Lucy, Natsu, and Gray demonstrating their skills. Natsu and Gray, of course, do their usual fire and ice magic, but seeing them use it is really cool. And with Lucy, I forgot to mention this in the previous video, she's using a Star Dress Taurus form, and honestly, out of all the outfits she's worn, that's actually the most practical one. I mean, this is the first outfit that's not used for either comedy or fan service, and, well, it's still fan servicey, but it's one of the better ones I've seen so far. I mean, for one, she's actually wearing something that's close to pants. I mean, I've never recalled Lucy not once wearing any pants, but that's besides the point. So in this form, Taurus form, her physical strength has increased and she's now very powerful. She can unleash earth waves just by hitting the ground with her whip. Yeah, she has a regular whip, but what happened to that star whip that she usually has? Does she ever use that or not? I'm not sure, but seeing Lucy in this new form is actually pretty cool. And with Erza, she not only gets to fight a couple of fodder, but also fights against Jerome, while the rest are left to deal with Natsu, Gray, and Lucy. Erza uses this new armor where she can easily control these swords, and when they go to her back, they look like wings. So yeah, this is actually one of the cooler outfits that I've seen Erza use. As for her fight against Jerome, Jerome has a sword that can rot anything it touches, as he was able to rot away all the swords except for one. And, well, as interesting as that sword was, it wasn't enough against Erza because her sword lands blows without making direct contact. And she was able to hit Jerome with a couple of blows from her sword without even touching him. Hell, I don't even think she moved her sword. At least not that I recall from reading the chapter. So, yeah, Jerome's defeated. Well, at least he put up a better fight than T. Torture Baldy or Mini Mr. Mime, so yeah, that's another one down. But, you know, despite that, I still thought this chapter was really good. So in this chapter, Briar fights against Gray, who's not too happy about him betraying them, but it is obvious that he would. I mean, he wasn't going to do the things that they were going to do. Otherwise, he's never going to face his dad ever again. During the fight, Briar was able to unleash waves of magic onto the ground like Lucy's earth wave. I'm not exactly sure like what exactly Briar was doing with that, but that was one of her abilities. As for Lucy, she was fighting against Mary, and both Gray and Lucy were struggling a bit, but they did get some backup, but I will get to that later. Now, Briar and Mary's magic abilities. Well, Briar can make clones. And if you're expecting her to use clones like how Naruto uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu, well, I hate to break it to you guys, but the clones suck. She can only make up to 3 clones, and each Briar has an emotion. One that's happy, one that's sad, one that's angry, and one that's totally in love. I don't get it. Hell, the clones don't even do anything in this chapter, which makes me think, what is the point of this magic if the clones aren't, like, used effectively? I mean, when Naruto uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu, it's proven to be very effective. I mean, he uses it very well. Briar, on the other hand, she just sucks. In fact, Gray was able to freeze 3 of the clones. Why couldn't he have done this earlier? I don't know. I guess he was too preoccupied from dodging all of Briar's attacks. And as for the loving Briar, the one that's in love, Juvia shows up and freaking one-shots it with a water claw because she thought it was a love rival. So yeah, that's another one down from Avatar. Now with Mary, her magic is virus. She can infect other people's bodies by giving them various maladies. And what is the serious malady that she gives to Lucy, Happy, and Taurus? Diarrhea. What the hell is going on? I mean, Briar and Mary have these interesting, useful magic powers, and they're just used for, what, comedy relief? They're not using it to their full potential. I mean, out of all the viruses that Mary could give Lucy, it's diarrhea. How about a virus that attacks her, like, lungs, her heart, hell, even her stomach, or even her brain? She was considering to target Lucy's brain. Hello, Mary, why didn't you do this earlier instead of a fucking virus to give her diarrhea? Like, wow, Avatar, you're full of morons, I swear. But the group is saved thanks to Wendy's air healing magic, where she was able to nullify the virus, and Lucy gives Mary a devastating Lucy punch, which actually is a lot better than a Lucy kick and very effective, so yeah, kudos to Lucy. Well, actually, I was very satisfied that she managed to beat the crap out of Mary because, well, I didn't like her that much, honestly. Now, why is Wendy, Charles, and Juvia there? Well, Wendy was able to heal Juvia from her cold, and Juvia felt like something bad was going to happen to Gray, so they went off to find them thanks to Wendy's sense of smell. Oh, and if you're expecting Juvia to be like all mad that Gray was gone for 6 months, never saying anything about it, well, no. She wasn't mad, she was just happy to see him, which is nice and all, but shouldn't she be at least a little bit angry that Gray was gone for so long? I mean, it was understandable why, it's just, he left without a word, and she got sick over it. So, well, at least Gray apologized, and they were gonna team up to take on the rest of Avatar, so, okay, whatever. So all that's left now is for Natsu to deal with the leader of Avatar, Arlok, which we all know Natsu's gonna kick his ass, obviously. But one thing to point out in this chapter, Wendy can activate Dragon Force, and she didn't have to use a powerful source of magic. So, okay, can someone really answer this for me? Can first generation Dragon Slayers activate Dragon Force in their free will now? Because I thought you needed a powerful source of magic. And Wendy activated Dragon Force like once. This is the second time we've seen her do that. As for Natsu, we've seen him activated 3 times, and the first 2 times he needed a powerful source of magic, so, well, what the hell? Because I always thought that first generation Dragon Slayers need a powerful source of magic or something. Like, I'm confused. Can someone like explain this to me? Maybe first generation Dragon Slayers can like activate it freely once they're accustomed to it or something. I'm not sure, but yeah, this chapter was actually not bad. Although I'm very disappointed with Briar and Mary. Like, seriously. So we get Arlok versus Natsu, and what is Arlok's magic ability? Well, he can create magic barriers and shoot out magic balls. Ooh, wow, I'm so surprised. No, but seriously though, it's just compared to like all the other kinds of magic that we've seen so far. And surprise, surprise, Natsu is able to like knock down all the barriers. Actually, it's not really a surprise. It's something you'd expect from Natsu considering how powerful he is. In fact, he was able to punch Arlok in the face with a Fire Dragon's Iron Fist. However, all that really did was just break a piece of the mask, and you see Arlok's burned face, well, a part of it. And the reason why his face was like that is because he was preparing for that day. So he burned his face to prepare for this day. Well, actually, I believe he burned his face as an exchange for something, and that something happens to be one of the 18 gods of Yakuma, a war god called Ikusatsunagi, which he summons from the sky, and there's this giant foot that slams onto the ground. We even get to see what Ikusatsunagi looks like, and it looks freaking badass. I mean, holy crap. I think this is like the first or the second time we get to see one of the 18 gods of Yakuma. If I recall, they were mentioned once with Minerva. I think she used some sort of kind of magic or something. I'm not exactly sure. I don't really fully remember about that. It turns out that Operation Purification was not to kill the entire people in the town, but to kill all of Avatar. Because he thought that the deaths of those who worship Zeref would be most valuable than some random people. Okay, if that was his original plan all this time, then why didn't he summon the god in the first place? I mean, he sent his people down to the town to kill them. I mean, they were charging down, and why couldn't he just, like, tell them to stop and wait a second and tell them that he will summon this god as part of Operation Purification and have him kill them all or something? Well, whatever. Knowing that Arlok was willing to sacrifice his own people just for the sake of Zeref, Natsu gets very pissed. This chapter overall, even though it was a bit predictable, it's actually a pretty decent read, and seeing that god, that design looked really cool. However, when this chapter came out, there were 2 chapters coming out in that week. Or what happens in the next chapter is just... it's so bad. Oh, God. Okay. I want to make one thing clear. If you like this chapter, that is fine. We all have different opinions. But I don't like this chapter at all. Now, I don't mind Natsu climbing up that god and defeating it with the flames of Ignil. And I'm not saying that he one-shotted a god. No, he actually used 2 punches, and that technically counts. I mean, a one-shot is when a character defeats an opponent with a single hit. That's not what Natsu did, okay? And I don't mind that. I don't mind the friendship speech that Natsu said, saying that friends are not a means to an end. They're people who you have bonds with, who will support you and have your back no matter what. And I don't mind Natsu vowing that he will protect his friends no matter what and make sure that he'll never lose anyone ever again. I don't mind that. What I do mind, however, is that all this happened in the very next chapter. The previous chapter introduces a freaking war god, one of the 18 gods of Yakuma, Ikusatsunagi. And in the next chapter, he gets defeated. Hero, you don't do that. You don't introduce a god in the previous chapter and have him defeated in the next chapter. And honestly, like, what the hell did this god even do? All he did was just stomp his foot and slice the very earth with a single swipe of a sword, which is cool and all, but I've seen gods in God of War doing more godly things than this god. You could argue the fact that this God of War, it might have been like one of the weakest gods out of 18 gods in Fairy Tail. You could say that, but still, you don't have him introduced in the previous chapter and have him defeated in the very next one. Hero, why do you do this? Why do you introduce new characters, hyping them up and making us believe that they're strong, only to, like, knock them down? You did this with the Grand Magic games. You did this with the freaking Eclipse, and you're doing this here. So yeah, I did not like this chapter. I did not. Because, once again, we have these villains who's supposed to have this great potential because, hey, it's another Zeref worshipping guild. But no, throughout this arc, you have them do stupid things and not use their magic to their full potential, screwing things up and having them defeated like that. I mean, Orochi's Finn, I didn't have a problem with that because they're not important. That guild was not important. I mean, we know that Natsu and the others were going to defeat them, no problem. And it was expected that Natsu and the others were going to defeat Avatar. But with Avatar, they had some sort of connection with Zeref. So you'd think that they would have more potential, be more of a serious threat, but they're not. I mean, one of them summoned a freaking god and they're not even... Oh my god, I'm sorry. This chapter just pissed me off because, like, of what they did with Avatar. I mean, I've heard this term many times, but I think this definitely applies to them. Avatar is the most crustiest guild out of all the dark guilds I've seen. This is one of the worst. So, yeah. Thanks a lot, Hero. Thanks a lot for ruining this arc because this had potential and you blew it. So, with the defeat of Ikusatsunagi, Avatar tries to flee, but they're stopped by the Magic Council and Gajiel and Pamperly. Yeah, they show up to deal with Mini Mr. Mime and the ogre thing. You know, out of all the mages that we've seen in this Avatar group, they're the ones that did the least. I mean, what the hell is the ogre guy supposed to do? I mean, is he just there for, like, brute strength? I don't even know if he has any magic at all. I mean, at least with Mini Mr. Mime, he had Mr. Kersey. Gajio, Pepperwilly, and Levy, who was also there, reunites with the group, and we actually learned how Gajio joined the Magic Council. He got the idea from Ward, who just said that merely as a joke, but Gajio took it seriously, and that's how he became part of the Magic Council, which I thought was kind of funny. And what's even funnier was him abusing his power by arresting everyone for reasons that he thought up on his head, which I thought was kind of funny. And you could also say this is also funny as well, that everyone was like thinking that Gajio was just his twin brother or imposter or something, which I understand why, because Gajio is the least person that you would expect to join the Magic Council. So how did the Magic Council find the group? Well, when they infiltrated the Avatar's base, they found a message by Gray saying where Operation Purification is being held. And next to that message is T. Torture Baldy, tied up, gagged, and on one of those, like, triangle wooden things, which is supposed to, like, really hurt you in the crotch. And, you know, speaking of crotch, he's naked. Why? Like, why was he like that? I mean, Gray could have just left him frozen in ice. There really was no need for that. I mean, ew. But then again, knowing T. Torture Baldy, he might get off to that. Ugh. So anyway, the group reunites, Avatar is defeated, they save the day, and they shout out a victory shout. Yay! Well, at least we got this 2-page spread of them, like, doing their victory shouts, which is actually kind of nice, but then again, I'm like, eh. I'm sorry, I'm still mad over how crusty Avatar is being. Anyway, Rogue and Sting actually showed up, surprisingly, and I guess it was because they're so worried over, like, what the hell was going on with Natsu, so they decided to, like, show up and know what's going on. And Frosh somehow ended up with the Fairy Tail group, and Gray sees Frosh, and you know, it seemed like it was, like, building up that something was supposed to happen. I mean, Future Rogue did say Gray was supposed to kill Frosh, but when he sees Frosh, he just picks him up and cuddles him, saying, "Oh, you're so cute, it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside." Okay. That happened, yeah. Well, actually, I didn't mind Gray showing his cutesy side. It's kind of funny and kind of nice, I'm not gonna lie. But, again, what was the point of Future Rogue? What is the point of this plot point? Gray was never evil. He was never going to turn evil. He has no benefit, nothing to gain from killing Frosh. So what is the point of that? Is it just so that Natsu, Lucy, and Happy can go to Avatar? Because you could have them go there in other ways aside from bringing up fucking Future Rogue. It just, I don't get what was the point of that. I mean, it was already established that there are different timelines. Not every single timeline is gonna go the same way. So, like, okay, you know what, let's just move on to, like, the next chapter. Finally, a chapter that I wanted for such a long time, and it's the one where we get Zeref's backstory. So we see Zeref, who's in this field, and he sees the book, and I guess he's talking to the book, he's talking to End or something, I'm not exactly sure, but we actually get a flashback of Zeref as a kid, and this was 400 years ago. As a kid, he was researching about life and death, and long ago, he lost his younger brother. His younger brother died, and this inspired him to research on life and death, and even coming up with a way to revive the dead using this R system, which requires a lot of magic. And apparently magic has a measuring unit called ideas. Now, through the years, we see Zeref as a little kid, Zeref as a young boy, and then Zeref, I guess, in his teens. And he was still researching about life and death. However, his teacher kept persuading him, telling him not to continue with this, because apparently the matter of human life and death in magic is a taboo since ancient times. Zeref's civilization had this god, Anksalam, I think that's how you say it, and Anksalam is the god of life and death. But Zeref still kept researching about the R system and about reviving the dead. However, this forced his teacher to expel him from the school, telling him that there is no way that he'll revive his brother. There is no way that he could come back to life. But I guess because Anksalam was angry or something, he was very upset or something, I'm not exactly sure, that he cursed Zeref with this death magic that we've seen him use before, and there was this like black mist that was emitting from Zeref's body, and that caused him to accidentally kill all the teachers and students, everyone in that building. The only way for Zeref to control this is for him to not think that life is so precious, because the more he would think about that, the more living things would die around him. And along with that, he was also cursed with immortality and unaging. And throughout the years, he's been trying to figure out a way to kill himself, a way to die, which led him to creating the demons of Zeref's book, which we all know as Tartarus, Lullaby, and Deliora. However, he created one powerful demon, his final work, which was End, Aetherius Natsu Dragneel. While creating End, he was using the body of his younger brother. So he technically not only revived his younger brother, but he created End using that body. So Natsu is not only End, but he is the younger brother of Zeref. What a twist! No, seriously, that's actually a surprising twist. Now, this chapter overall was very good. I liked learning more about Zeref's backstory, and it was such a relief that we got this. It was such a breath of fresh air, but it did make me wonder, like, what happened once he created End? I mean, Natsu ended up with Igneel somehow, and Zeref was gone for so long, and he somehow ended up in Terra Island, so, like, what happened? Afterwards, we see Zeref meeting up with this mysterious person with face tattoos and markings all over his body. He even has, like, a necklace made out of teeth and big spiky hair, and it turns out that was Acnologia in human form. So can dragon slayers who turn into dragons turn back into humans? That's a surprise. But unfortunately, we don't get to learn anything more about Acnologia. We know that he desires destruction and chaos, yet he doesn't really do all of that. He just does like brief little moments and then he just retreats. Well, according to Zeref, Acnologia was waiting for someone who he can truly fight against, which I don't get why, but I guess he wanted more of a challenge, I guess. And it's now hinting at that there is going to be a three-way battle. Zeref, Acnologia, and the humans. Fairy tale. Which, as interesting as that may be, I'm still cautious about this. I mean, I really don't want Hiromashima to screw this up. And I guess if that was something that happened, then that would be the final arc in Fairy Tail, probably. As great as this chapter was, I really wish we could have learned more about Zeref. I mean, he's human in this. I mean, I guess since he was a dragon slayer who could turn into the dragon, he can revert back to human whenever he wants, I guess? Or maybe this is some sort of special magic or something. I'm not exactly sure, but I am looking forward to seeing like what's going to happen next. So this chapter is basically supposed to be like a nice touching moment, because this chapter is where every single person in Fairy Tail reunites to rebuild the guild. However, at the beginning, Lucy was getting some doubts that everyone would show up, because she thought that everyone would forget about Fairy Tail and would no longer hold Fairy Tail in their hearts, which is actually proven wrong when Kana shows up and leaves her and the rest of the group to everyone else, which includes the characters that we don't really know their names a lot, the very, very minor characters, and some of the major and minor characters like Mary Jane, Lisana, Elfman, and the rest. Now, there was this one flashback where it showed Makarov announcing this kind of news to the rest of Fairy Tail. But he didn't say why, though. He didn't say why he decided to disband Fairy Tail. I mean, he just straight up tells them, like, yeah, Fairy Tail has been disbanded. You can all go on your separate ways. I got nothing more to say. Okay, thanks, bye. And afterwards, he just disappears like that. Well, he does have his reasons to why he did this, but I can't help but question if this really was the right thing to do. So anyway, Lucy, after seeing everyone returning, cries tears of joy, and that is basically it from the chapter. Yeah, this chapter is actually not bad. I mean, it's kind of nice. It is touching. I still don't get what is up with Makarov, so, but that's basically it for the reunion of Fairy Tail. So yeah, that's the conclusion. Oh, and if you're wondering why the rest of Fairy Tail managed to meet up in Magnolia, well, it's because Lucy was able to send out letters, so they got the letters, so they came here. So yeah, problem solved. So this chapter is basically shenanigans from Fairy Tail, but also the rebuilding of Fairy Tail as well. Lucy was able to move back into her old home, and this had to lead like another typical hijinks where Natsu and Happy break into her home, and this somehow ended up with Lucy losing her towel, exposing herself to Natsu like always. So yeah, that happened. Now, one thing I have to say about this, it's no surprise that the rest of the Fairy Tail members would reunite. They would come back and rebuild Fairy Tail. There's no surprise there. But some of them had to have like really good jobs. Some that are even better than being in the guild. And they had to like give that up for Fairy Tail. So yeah, that's either like major dedication or kind of stupid. I mean, like, what if their job was like even better? What if they're like happy? But then again, I guess for them, they wouldn't be happy no matter what, since Fairy Tail has always been their home and it's always been the place that they would always be no matter what. There was this matter where they had to select a guild master in order to officially become a guild again. And this person had to be temporary until Makarov comes back. And the decision is Erza, which actually is not a bad choice. I mean, I could definitely see Erza as being the guild master. So she is now the 7th guild master, which technically should be the 6th, since Makarov is the 3rd, but for some reason he's the 6th. Actually, you know, with that logic alone, then Sarutobi should have been the 5th Hokage and the 3rd Hokage. The hijinks then eventually led to this Fairy Tail brawl, which ended with Erza giving off this scary face and demanding everyone to go back to work. But before that, we kind of learned that Mary Jane and Lisana were waitresses, and Elfman, I think, was either a waiter or not, I'm not exactly sure, but he went off to do his own training, which he wanted to test his strength on Natsu, which led to the whole brawl. Mary Jane said that Elfman was still like beating himself up over the destruction of Fairy Tail, which, you know, would have been interesting to see in the, like, one of the mini arcs or something. I mean, him still feeling guilty over it, but I guess there really was no need for it. I mean, he did feel guilty during the aftermath, but well, that's it, really. Mest shows up, or Dornbolt, whichever one you call him. Personally, Dornbolt is a lot cooler name, and I'm so used to calling him Dornbolt, but I guess I'll have to call him Mest now. Anyway, he shows up and tells Erza that he's been waiting for everyone to be together again because they're the only ones that can save Makarov. Yes, Makarov is in some serious trouble right now, and it's up to Fairy Tail to save him. So next time, the Alvarez arc and the introduction to the Spriggan 12. Till next time.